Samsung's 65-inch S90F is a truly great OLED TV at a very attractive price point, but we've got some issues with the rest of the S90F range and what Samsung is not talking about. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Phil Hinton, and with over 20 years of experience reviewing and calibrating TVs, I've seen countless televisions come and go. And today we're diving deep into a truly interesting TV that's perhaps a little bit controversial too. The Samsung 65-inch S90F QD-OLED. Now, before we get too far, the crucial point is, and one that Samsung isn't exactly shouting about from the rooftops, is that this review and the highly recommended badge only applies to the 65-inch version of the S90F. So, why is that? Well, in the UK, this is the only screen equipped with a QD-OLED panel. We'd love to see more transparency from Samsung on this matter, so consumers are more aware of what they are actually buying, as there is a noticeable difference between WRGB and QD-OLED panels. And we certainly welcome Samsung being a little bit more upfront and informing buyers which OLED panel they are actually buying with the various screen sizes in the S90F range. Now, with that out of the way, let me tell you that the 65-inch S90F is an excellent QD-OLED TV. It delivers fantastic image quality, incredible black levels, and superb wide colour gamut performance. Design-wise, it's sleek and ultra-thin, with a central stand and all the connectors are neatly placed at the rear. And for gamers amongst you, it boasts 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports at 48 gigabits per second. The design is also incredibly thin and almost bezel-less, and it looks truly premium high-end. And despite being a second-tier TV, it really does look the business. One design choice that will appeal to many home cinema enthusiasts is the glossy reflective screen surface. The S90F does not have the anti-reflective matte coating that the S95 has. Well, QD-OLEDs can exhibit raised blacks in very bright rooms with direct ambient light. With careful positioning, you can negate that issue quite easily. And this glossy finish, for me anyway, really helps the blacks look even deeper in a controlled light environment. The S90F continues Samsung's strong support for UHDA filmmaker mode, which is a fantastic for those of us who want content presented as the creator intended right out of the box without any calibration. You'll find support for HDR10, HLG, HDR10 Plus high dynamic range formats. However, and this is a recurring theme with Samsung, there is no Dolby Vision support. A significant improvement this year, and something I'm very happy to see as a calibrator, is the redesigned menu system across Samsung's 2025 premium TVs. It's much more user-friendly, especially for calibrators and anyone who frequently goes into the settings for a bit of a tinker. The menu can now be resized and it's positioned in the lower left of the screen, avoiding obstructing any measurement windows, and you can even set it to transparent. Plus those jump to cards at the top for quick access to recent adjustments, well, that's a real time saver for calibration. For gamers, the S90F is a powerhouse. You get 4 HDMI 2.1 ports at 48 gigabits per second, which will support 4K 144Hz PC gaming via the Motion Accelerator 144Hz, and you also get the Super Ultra Wide Game View. For those with the latest consoles, it offers 4K 120Hz, FreeSync Premium Pro VRR, ALLM, EARC and the game menu bar, as well as HDIG support, and input lag is impressively low at 9.2 milliseconds for 4K 60 and a blistering 4.8 milliseconds for 1080 120. Now let's talk about the hard numbers and do a bit of nitpicking. Out of the box, the filmmaker mode on the S90F is the most accurate preset. However, it could be a little bit more precise. I observed a slight excess of red and blue from 50% stimulus in the grayscale, which pushed our delta errors just above the visible threshold of 3. This can result in a subtle reddish magenta tint to whites and skin tones, making them look a little bit too rosy. While far from terrible, we'd love to see Samsung tighten this up for better out-of-the-box accuracy. But once calibrated thanks to its AutoCal feature through CalMan, the S90F achieves reference level grayscale. Our delta errors average a mere 0.4, which is practically perfect. The Rec. 709 saturation tracking was also vastly improved over the out-of-the-box, although red did remain slightly oversaturated from 50% upwards. In real-world viewing, these calibrated results are exceptionally accurate. For HDR with dynamic tone mapping set to static, the filmmaker mode is the most accurate out of the box. Peak brightness measurements are very strong. We saw 1527 nits on a 5% window and a stellar 1376 nits on the industry standard 10% window. Full screen comes in at 100% at 242 nits, and these are excellent figures for the price point, especially for HDR10 playback. There are a few colour discrepancies, with auto being accurate to the standards but with a very slight hit on the colour luminance, and I go into that in a lot more detail in our written review on AVForums. Spectral power distribution measurements using a Jetty spectroradiometer confirm that this is a QD-OLED panel, and it shows exceptionally pure and narrow red, green and blue spectrum results. In terms of real-world performance, this 65-inch S90F supplied by Samsung UK truly impresses. Screen uniformity is excellent. While a 5% grey slide revealed very fine vertical banding in a pitch black room, it was faint enough not to be noticeable in dark scenes during normal viewing or viewing in dark rooms. All the other brightness levels were incredibly clean, free from dirty screen effect or colour shifting or vignetting. Motion reproduction was largely excellent. The display correctly applied pull down to 24 frames per second content, resulting in no induced judder or motion blur beyond what was actually present in the source material. 50Hz content was also displayed correctly, with only occasional microstutter observed during rapid edits or on-screen text sequences. Upscaling performance is also good. The S90F does a commendable job of taking lower resolution content like standard definition broadcasts or older DVDs and making it look presentable on the 4K screen. It handles the process cleanly without introducing any artifacts or ringing to straight edges. Sharpness is also well handled, but there is some contrast-based sharpening being applied like there is on the S95F. So let's quickly summarise the pros and cons of this 65-inch S90F QD OLED as we've tested it here. And on the pro side, we've got excellent colour volume and specular HDR details. That QD OLED panel offers and delivers vibrant and impactful HDR experiences. SDR content is also bright and accurate, and the processing and OS speed are very good, making navigation really snappy and intuitive. And cons? Well, the biggest one, as we've discussed, is that this QD OLED panel only appears in the 65-inch screen size that we've reviewed here in the UK. The lack of transparency is a concern. We also observed raised blacks with strong ambient lighting, though this can be mitigated with room control. It's a Samsung, so again, there's no Dolby Vision support, and that could be an issue for you if that's something that you're looking for. For lots of other people, it's not really a concern. And finally, while the video processing is good, it's perhaps not quite as polished as some of the competition in 2025. But overall, the Samsung 65-inch S90F, the specific QD OLED model reviewing here, is an excellent TV. It offers superb HDR, SDR and gaming performance, and for the price point, the image quality is truly impressive with a top-notch design. Just remember that the highly recommended badge only applies to the 65-inch QD OLED model and not any of the other S90F screen sizes. So, how does it compare against the flagship S95F? Well, as you would rightly imagine, the S95F is just that little bit better overall in terms of picture quality, especially with high APL scenes and HDR content. Specular highlights are that little bit more pronounced, and there's a slight depth to the midtones that is marginally better than the S90F. There are no obvious issues on both sets with posterization or gradational issues, and colours look stunning. Video processing is the same on both sets, as is the OS system, so it's just minor differences in image quality that separate these two TVs. The 65-inch S90F is the only QD-OLED-equipped S95F, so the results will vary quite a bit to the WRGB-equipped versions across the rest of the range. Compared to the flagship LG G5 55-inch, we can see the same differences as we did with the S90F, with the G5 being brighter with higher APL scenes and also displaying more specular highlight details. Blacks are a little bit richer on the G5, especially when there's some ambient light in the room, but the G5 still has some slight issues with gradational issues and mild posterization with HDR content, and it can also raise the video black level in some content as well, which can be seen when watching in pitch black conditions. The G5 is also capable of Dolby Vision playback with its brighter image quality, something that the 65-inch S90F just doesn't have. And finally, the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II is a QD-OLED TV that's available in 55 and 65-inch screen sizes, and it has support for Dolby Vision in HDR10, and we will have a full review of this TV very soon. Sony has superb image processing capabilities, so it should on paper be much better than this QD-OLED version of the S90F, and that's exactly how things play out in our side-by-side comparison, with the Sony displaying much better image processing with brighter and more accurate HDR playback. Well, it's not night and day in terms of differences in image quality. The Sony does have a visible edge, and obviously the guaranteed QD-OLED panels in more than just one screen size, and it really is a cracking performer, but you will also pay a lot more for the privilege. And that wraps up our review. If you enjoy what we do here and you want to support us in producing more, then please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Could you also consider spreading the word and linking to our content on other forums and social platforms that you use so more people can find us? Let me know in the comments below what you think of the 65-inch S90F and Samsung's use of different panels throughout the range. Should they be a lot more transparent with you, the consumer? Just let me know below. And once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.